Come on now, bro. All these pound-for-pound fighters are too scared to fight me. They need 200 million to do it.
I got 200 million for you.
I'm fighting Jake Paul.
Pussy.
Talk about fighting the best fighter in the world. You better be taking it serious. You know, that goes to show, how serious he's taking me and how.
Jake Paul was supposed to fight Tank Davis in just 2 weeks, and now that's completely off the table. Tank got hit with serious legal trouble again, and the whole fight just fell apart. But here's where it gets interesting. Terence Crawford, one of the best boxers in the world, just told everyone exactly what it would take for him to step in and fight Jake Paul instead.
Out of like the influencer world would be the most lucrative thing for my career, and I think I was the only one who like actually wanted to do it and actually wanted to go all the way, and that's why I set the goal for myself early to become a world champion, set the bar extremely high.
Let's go back a bit. Crawford used to absolutely hate what Jake Paul was doing in boxing. He thought Jake was making the sport look like a joke. Crawford even called him a circus act. He said Jake and his brother Logan were just using their YouTube fame to jump into boxing and make millions, while real boxers who train their whole lives barely made anything. Crawford felt disrespected, and he wasn't shy about saying it. On Logan Paul's podcast, Crawford admitted all of this. He said, "At first, I was against it. I was like, man, this dude and people were coming at you and your brother negatively. I was like, yeah, they're just using their YouTube status to come in boxing and make all this money. You've got all these boxers doing it their whole life that don't make anything close. And I thought it was disrespectful to us in the game." That was Crawford's mindset for a long time. He couldn't stand watching Jake Paul collect huge paychecks while serious fighters struggled. But something changed. Crawford actually went to Puerto Rico and watched Jake Paul fight Ryan Borland in person. He was there for a boxing convention, but he paid close attention to Jake's fight. And what he saw surprised him.
They can punch with that right hand. Like, I seen him, up close in person. Like, dude is big. He's not as slow as people think he is, and he can punch. That's why a lot of people know, like, there's those times where, him and Tyson.
Jake knocked out Borland that night, and Crawford noticed something he didn't expect. Crawford said, "I was sitting there and I was like, this dude can hit with his right hand." That was the moment things started shifting in Crawford's mind. He realized Jake wasn't just playing around. Jake was actually training seriously and getting better with each fight. Crawford explained his change of heart on that same podcast. He said, after watching him and seeing the seriousness he's taking to actually train and put the focus into the sport, I was like, this dude is getting better. Coming from someone like Crawford, that's huge. Crawford is a perfectionist. He's undefeated, detail-oriented, and one of the most skilled boxers of this generation. For him to admit he was impressed by Jake Paul means something real changed. Crawford also pointed out that Jake isn't trying to skip steps or fight the absolute best right away. He said, a lot of people just want Jake Paul to fight Alexander Usyk, but no, you have to just work your way up. And when I saw him live, I gained way more respect for him than I already had. So Crawford went from thinking Jake was a joke to actually respecting how he's building his career. Now, let's talk about the fight that was supposed to happen. Jake Paul and Tank Davis were scheduled to fight on November 14th in Miami. This was going to be wild because Tank fights at 135 pounds while Jake walks around at 200. That's a massive difference. Some people called it crazy, but others were curious to see how Tank's skills would match up against Jake's size. But then everything fell apart. Tank Davis got sued by his ex-girlfriend. The lawsuit accuses him of battery, aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and causing emotional distress. The incident supposedly happened on October 27th. This isn't Tank's first legal problem either. Just a few months ago in August, another ex-girlfriend dropped a domestic violence case against him. Jake Paul's company, Most Valuable Promotions, looked into the situation and decided they couldn't move forward. Jake was furious. He called Tank a walking human piece of garbage and said working with him had been an absolute nightmare. Jake said Tank showed unprofessionalism and made bizarre requests during the whole process. Jake also said, if you support this man, you support the most vile sin a man can commit. My company champions women. I'm so sorry to everyone involved, mostly to the undercard fighters, to my team at MVP, and to my team who worked so hard prepping for this fight. With Tank out, Jake needed a new opponent fast. His team started reaching out to different fighters, and one of those fighters was Terence Crawford. But here's the thing, Crawford said no to fighting Jake on short notice. According to reports, Crawford turned down the offer because he already has his own plans for March 2026. Crawford wants to move down to middleweight and go after another world title. That would make him a world champion in 6 different weight classes, which would be absolutely historic. After beating Canelo Alvarez in September and becoming undisputed champion at super middleweight, Crawford skipped the middleweight division on his way up. Now he wants to go back and conquer that weight class too. Crawford said, "My gut says the same thing. I'm going to sit down with my team and discuss what is next in Terence Crawford. But who knows? I might go down to 160 pounds. He's eyeing fighters like Janibek Alimukunyeli, who holds the WBO and IBF middleweight belts. Crawford even said,
I got my eyes on you, Janibek. Good luck.
So Crawford isn't fighting Jake in November or December, but that doesn't mean he'll never fight him. This is where it gets really interesting. Crawford appeared on a podcast called Club Shay Shay, and they asked him about fighting Jake Paul. At first, Crawford said he wasn't interested, but then they asked him a specific question. What if someone offered him $200 million to fight Jake Paul?
Would you fight Jake Paul? No. He too big? He too big? Yeah, Jake big, but he doing his thing. Let Jake do what Jake got 200 million for you.
Crawford's answer was simple and direct. He said,
I'm fighting Jake. I'm fighting Jake Paul. Come on, Jake. Hey, Logan. Get it. I gotta fight your brother.
just like that. No hesitation, no conditions, just straight up said he'd take the fight for that kind of money. Crawford has done it all in boxing. He's 42 wins and 0 losses. He's been undisputed champion in 2 weight classes, and now 3 after beating Canelo. He's considered pound for pound one of the best fighters alive. There aren't many fights left that truly excite fans or pay him what he deserves. A fight with Jake Paul would break pay-per-view records and make Crawford a fortune. Crawford isn't the only big name being talked about as a replacement. Jake's team contacted several fighters. Francis Ngannou was one of them. He's the former UFC heavyweight champion who recently fought Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua in boxing matches. But Ngannou shut down the idea immediately. He said, "Well, there's no such thing happening. How can they go from Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? The weight difference and everything, it makes no sense." When Jake's team brought up money, Ngannou still said no. He told them, "It's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started up. I'm just not interested. It makes no sense for me." Jake Paul fired back at Ngannou on Twitter. He wrote, "Dear Francis, just say you already got humiliated in boxing and are scared to lose to Jake Paul. I accept that. You are light work, my friend. Stuck in mud." Anthony Joshua was another option. He's a massive heavyweight, Olympic gold medalist, and former 2-time world champion. Eddie Hearn, who promotes Joshua, confirmed that talks actually happened. And Joshua's response was perfect. He said, "Just let me know where and when." Jake Paul told Sky Sports that the Joshua fight is real. He said, 100% it can happen. Our teams are already talking and in the works to try and make it happen for next year. Jake added, "It would be fun to take on Anthony Joshua after this fight. Take a massive risk and a massive challenge and to go into a fight where no one thinks that I would even have the slightest chance of winning. That excites me." But there's a huge problem. Jake Paul fights on Netflix, while Anthony Joshua fights on DAZN's. These are rival streaming platforms, and they don't work together. Unless they make some special deal, the fight can't happen. Hearn said without DAZN's consent or blessing or a deal that they are happy with, we wouldn't move forward anyway. Ryan Garcia was another option, but his promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, shut that down immediately. De La Hoya said,
"Let me just tell you why this fight is not going to happen. Ryan Garcia fights for DAZN, and Jake Paul fights on Netflix. I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line. Golden Boy has a contract with DAZN. Ryan Garcia has a contract with Golden Boy. And that's just the way it is. I mean, this is business."
The betting favorite to replace Tank Davis is actually Nate Diaz. Diaz is a UFC legend who already fought Jake Paul once in August 2023. Jake won that fight easily by decision. The judges scored at 98-91, 98-91, and 97-92. Diaz wasn't competitive at all. But Diaz wants revenge badly. He blamed his loss on an injured shoulder and said he went on a 4-week bender before the fight. When Jake needed a replacement, Diaz stepped up immediately. Jake even praised him on social media, saying, "Nate Diaz is a G. It isn't meant to be, but respect for willing to step up on 2 weeks' notice." Diaz posted on Instagram saying, "Fight accepted, you're dead." So it looks like Diaz agreed to fight Jake again, probably in December instead of November. Other names got thrown around too. Tommy Fury, who's the only boxer to beat Jake Paul, could get a rematch. Andre Ward, the retired Hall of Famer, said he'd fight Jake if the money was right. Even names like Rampage Jackson, KSI, and Carl Froch got mentioned. But here's what matters most. Terence Crawford made it clear that he's open to fighting Jake Paul if the price is right. $200 million is that price. Crawford went from calling Jake a circus act to saying he'd fight him for the right payday. That shows how boxing works today. It's all about business and money. Jake Paul responded to Crawford's willingness to say he would for sure fight Terence 100%. Let's run it. So both sides are interested. The question is whether it will actually happen and when. For now, Crawford is focused on March 2026 and chasing that 6th weight class title. Jake Paul needs to figure out who he's fighting in December. Tank Davis is completely out of the picture, and the whole world of boxing is watching to see what happens next. Crawford's change of heart shows that Jake Paul is forcing even the biggest names in boxing to take him seriously whether they like it or not. What do you think? Is Jake Paul a serious boxer or just a YouTuber messing around with world champions like Terence Crawford? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.